This is Techtron podcast, and we're going to be talking everything about tech. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
tech, digest tech,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you know, tech is very wide these days, and majority of people fear tech. They feel it's really difficult, but when you go into it and you see what it is, you know it's not that difficult. It's really enjoyable. The topic of today is the future of AI,
Okay.
ChatGPT, generative AI,
Oh,
and its ethical considerations.
okay,
So,
cool.
but before we go into that, let's meet you, Mr. Kayode.
Oh, that's an interesting question because when people ask me like, let's meet me, I actually don't know what to say most of the time these days. But I would just share briefly my ideas. And these are the ways I prefer to introduce myself. Um, my name is Hamed, and my mission is to help a young person in another South communities cross through access to education, skills, and opportunities. So I do not know when I will achieve such world where I can democratize access to education for young people in the South communities or young people who are displaced, whether refugees or an asylum seeker. I don't know when I will achieve such world, but would I try to make a life of one young person better? And I hope someday someone would also carry on the course. So for me, like that's the way I like to introduce myself. It's by my ideal, it's by the things that I believe in. Is to help, young people, children in the South communities to change the circumstances they've inherited. So that's the way I like to introduce myself most of the time. Obviously, you could
So,
founded an
I'll do
organization
the introduction for you.
and
So,
also
Mr. Ahmed Kayode Alabi is a storyteller.
yeah,
He
yeah.
is a speaker in Tony Elumelu Foundation. He is also a social entrepreneur. He
Mhm.
is also a poet.
Yeah.
He is World Economic Forum Global Shaper. So he's a lot of things. I would call him the tech lord himself. We're going to dive into the topic right away without wasting any time. So our first question here is, how do you see ChatGPT and other generative AI tools transforming the industries in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, before I kind of like answer that question, I am actually not a speaker with Tony Elumelu Foundation. Just wanted to clarify that quickly.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and yeah, and I'm also like an alumnus of the World Economic Forum Global Shapers. I'm no longer like a global shaper, but I used to be one.
Okay, okay,
So now I'm an alumni of the program. So just wanted to like make those a little bit of clarification. And
okay.
trying to shine the spotlight on me. I've been running away from my bio, but you've decided to like, read them. So what's going to be the future of ChatGPT and some other form of generative AI in the
Yeah,
next 5 to 10 years? I would say that I can't really say at the moment. But one of the things that we know is that AI will continue to improve in its own way and in itself. As generative AI continue to get like data from people, it's going to like get better because when you look at generative AI or when you look at any form of AI, it actually learns through data, and it is data that will provide it that it learns from. So, for example, like recently, I used to use like ChatGPT to do like some of my editing work. So I'll, put my articles or something that I've written, I'll put it on ChatGPT, or if I'm even trying to answer an essay question and I've written my own drafts, I put it on ChatGPT to do my editing. And then, I will give it a prompt, right? And the kind of prompt that I would give to it is that, can you edit this without changing my words, without changing the meaning of my message, without changing my tone, my voice, my modulations? I'll be like, can you, correct the grammar, syntax? Like I'll give you like different things to do. And even if I have numbers in the text that I've offered it, I'll say that please don't change my numbers and do also change the core of my message. And then I put it there and it does it, right? And there was a day I actually forgot to actually give it a prompt, but it has already studied the way I was prompting. It has
Oh,
studied the way, like this is the way I want my voice to look like, and this is where I want my voice to be. So I forgot to add the prompt and I pressed enter. And by the time I pressed enter, it actually edited it the way I would have prompted it. So it shows you that as much as we continue to like input and give to AI, it quickly learns from us, basically. And by learning from us, it improves its efficiency and the way it delivers. And one of the things that I would say is that as human beings continue to get creative with AI, AI will also become creative as well. So maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, as people get creative with their prompting, as people get creative with the way they share, with the way they prompt, with the way they use ChatGPT, I think the way it is being built is going to also improve over time and over the years. So the more complex things we use generative AI for, the more it learns and the more sophisticated, complex it looks like. Like the more it does complex problem solving,
yeah.
I mean, we are already like practicing complex problem solving already, but the more we continue to use it for more things like output analysis and all of sorts, like it's going to continue to like improve as well. So I would say that I can't really say that what the future would look like. But one thing that I'm very sure of is that I understand that human beings have to upskill as well for that future, that as ChatGPT changes, we also have to change the way we prompt and the way we use it. As we continue to learn from our data, we also have to continue to improve. Maybe there might be ways where, which is already also happening with like ChatGPT 4.0 as well. Like people are already putting voice prompts to actually generate a response already. Maybe there could be a video prompt in the future. I'm not sure if somebody have created that already, but it could be more sophisticated thing that generative AI will do. To be honest, like if you even look at some of the generative AI tools, for example, Agen, you could literally record a course using Agen, and all you need to do is to like record your voice, upload it on the platform, give it a script, and once you give it a script, in there it then picks up your voice and then use your script to come up with a video for you. With that video, you could actually sell a course and rapidly promote a course. And with that video, you could convert it to multiple languages. So want to convert it to French, Swahili, you could actually do that with that. And if you also want to build like a moving video, you could also give it a prompt like, okay, with this video, give me a moving, look at my image. This is the image I've provided for you. Use this image that I've provided. So you could use tools like, Midjourney or whatever tools to create a video, or you could even create an avatar video, a picture somewhere. And then you bring it to this platform and then be like, do it as if there are 5, 10 students in the classroom. This is what I provided you. This is my voice. And do as if I'm teaching in a.
So does this mean that AI can play a role in human capability versus replacing them?
Yeah, I think it would not replace humans in general. Obviously, there are some certain things it would do to replace human beings. I was in Salzburg earlier this week, last week. I was in Salzburg last week, and these were the things we were discussing in terms of like education and how, there was a conversation and there was like, around that AI may replace teachers, right? And AI would replace, the workforce. There was conversation around that. But the truth is that what we are saying is that even though there are some certain tasks that the teachers are doing that AI might totally replace, which is okay, but there are some certain things that AI would never replace, right? And it's also helping teachers to augment them. Like it's not to like replace them, it's to augment them. So teachers have to increase their own capabilities as well. So, for example, teachers have to learn how to prompt to be able to create a lesson plan, for example, using AI. So, if you're spending 3 hours, for example, using to create your lesson plan, but then you prompt GPT, you input all of the things, and then within 1 minute, you're getting your lesson plan, which means that you free up time, it frees up time for you to be able to support a student who is struggling. So, it's that augmentation. It's like an augmentation, it elevates people, right? That's what AI does. It kind of like elevates you, elevates your thinking. And I don't know if I've answered the next question you're asking, but I'm already touching into things here.
Yes.
And one of the things I want to say, or I would like to mention, is that the kind of people we have determine the way we use AI. There's this idea that there is duality between AI and the people and people. Like there's a separation, but there isn't. It's connected. Somebody would think critically, normally, would use AI critically as well, and will not take AI answers like that's an answer.
How possible?
If you think critically, it will improve the quality of your prompts. Your prompts will,
Okay.
like your prompts will be detailed. When AI gives you an answer, you will just take it like that. You would be able to prompt it again and say, can you cross-check this using the sources? Where do you find your source? What's the source like? Because you think critically. So you will not copy an answer that you found on the platform and paste it somewhere. We are not
So,
talking about copy and paste.
recently there was an argument like
Yeah.
in a school where they had like parents conference. They brought up this whole prompting of AI by students and teachers, and a parent got up and she said something that really struck me. She said, we are talking about AI.
Mm-hmm.
If the teachers are prompting probably ChatGPT and the
Yeah.
students are prompting ChatGPT, are,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to like get the same thing, or how's it going to play out? Because if someone is prompting ChatGPT for same topic, or maybe the person is prompting the same topic but prompting it very well, are they going to get similar things? Who's going to teach who?
I think they would not get similar response, and that's why it's very important for teachers to elevate their game too, so that
Okay.
they can have quality prompts and provide quality prompts, and and so that students would not just like find an answer somewhere. But then it's also where assessment has to be diverse. There should not be one way of assessment. So if you're providing a written assessment somewhere that a student have done their research with the support of GPT, which is obviously okay, but they also come into the class to actually defend what they've shared. So what do you think? What are your thoughts? Yeah. What if and that's where the teacher's critical thinking also comes in play. That okay, let's flip this to the other side, right? Let's flip this to another side. Let's flip this, like if you're a creative teacher, you would beat all of those things. And is the reason why I'm saying that the quality of an individual determine the way they use AI and determine the way they interact with generative AI and determines the way they interact with the responses. That they will never take an answer for the face value. And so for example, you could give people research, use generative AI to do whatever you like. But then you pick up a debate in the classroom, and then that gives you time for you to hear the perspective of your students. It frees up space for those monotony of work and gives you time for like people to actually engage with the material. So if students have been able to use AI to actually engage with the basics of the material, so now they have the base knowledge, fine, good for everybody. But then they come into the classroom and they are doing real debates. Teachers also being creative of how they will present their lessons as well. Like AI is here to stay, obviously. It's going to provide us like, it's going to give us more ways to do things. But then there's also a need for us to also elevate our thinking. AI should not be thinking more than we do as human beings. Like we should be able to elevate our own thinking so that we can complement, whatever AI has to offer, right? AI should be complementing us as human beings, not even we complementing AI. So what I was saying before is that the kind of life we live determine how we interact with AI. If you're somebody who would copy something directly, you love plagiarism, you like to copy, you will do the same with AI. So you copy and paste, that's the kind of person you are, and AI shows you that kind of person too. So a
Yeah.
bad person will create a bad AI, or a bad person, would use AI badly or poorly.
So that a person that's not thinking critically, like you said,
Yeah,
is gonna create something bad with AI.
is
Okay,
reflect.
so the next question is, so what are some of the biggest positive changes generative AI can bring to the society? What are the changes to the society?
Again, I think it's it reduces like workload. It reduces like the level of burnout that people face in reading a lot of tests and a lot of materials. It kind of like shortens, helps with summary of things that you would have taken time to work on and to do. Like it takes like it kind of like also democratizes knowledge, where it takes you ages to find some certain information, some certain knowledge, but then you can go on GPT and then search for those things and then get access to them. At least it gives you base knowledge, right? I was I went to Makoko recently, that was where I was born and raised. And some of the kids have all of the kids have never heard of ChatGPT before. Some of the students I was talking to, and I, introduced them to GPT for the first time, ChatGPT for the first time. And one of the things we did was I asked them to type of soil on ChatGPT, and it brought like different kind of soil. And the soil that they already know is like true, the loamy, sandy, and clay soil is what people think
Definitely.
about, right? That's the three things they've seen in their textbook. But then
Yes.
GPT brought like almost 7 or 8 kind of soil or type of soil. And they were like, I thought type of soil were three. I never knew we have 8. So I said, okay, yeah, good. Now read it. And I said, the one you don't know, ask ChatGPT to explain it to you as if you're 5-year-old. And then it does explain it to them like a 5-year-old, and they were like, oh, this is so cool. And before you knew, just a single prompt, these kids were already searching for things on their own, from site visit in London, so experiencing London, even though they are not in London, right
Yeah.
from just one single prompt that you've shown them. So imagine a prompt in the hand of a young person in an underserved community or in slum
Yeah. Yeah.
communities, and how they use that prompt to turn things around and search for. Obviously, like it requires guidance so that people, because with every other technology that has been created, there's always a case for misuse. In fact, I could give you an example of the appointment. When appointment was introduced in Osun State, um, you know, they were like, it's, giving tabs to students is going to revolutionize education, it's going to change so many things. But then when they gave those kids the tablets, they weren't using it for education. They were rather using it for entertainment. So they were using it to play videos, songs, music, and whatever, watching movies, which is not so bad in its own form or in its own way. But then it's the truth that they were not really using it for education. So it shows that, a lot of research hasn't been done to understand the local context of what people will use this for. So that's why I think there's a need for a guardian with the kids. Because I'm there, I'm able to guide them through the prompts, right? But then again, it also shows that I also think there are so many problems as well. Because when I ask the kids, when the explanation that it offers them as a 5-year-old was not based on the experience of somebody who is living in Makoko, for example, or who is living in a rural community, for example. So it's an example that shows, the reality and experience of somebody in maybe in the US, for example. You will look that the majority of the data are being trained based on Western values and culture and traditions. And we could see that maybe GPT will start reinforcing some existing inequality that is already happening. But how do we ensure that also GPT has like that wide range of data? And I think quality of prompts could also help. Like I said, AI learns from us, right? As we get
Yeah.
from. So you could say that, can you actually explain this to me as a 5-year-old who lives in Makoko? So AI will be forced to search for what Makoko is on the internet and use that from it and use that to like build the response that they would build and have examples
Yeah.
like that. And beyond that as well, when you have all of these data as well, there's a need for humans to also cross-check some of the data as well to see if this data that are being, that AI is using to learn are also correct. And that's where fact-checking also comes in. That's where, so it's like it's here obviously to stay, but there are some other things that we also need to check. We need to check it as well, for biases, for
Yeah. So with what you have said, fact checking, human oversight, with all you have said. So are we at risk, maybe in the future, having AI um, representing human communication at any time? Are we at risk?
Just like every other technology that has been created or anything that you've created in the society, there's always a risk. Important for us to go back to the value system. That's why it's very important for us to fix other things that is affecting society beyond AI. That generative AI or whatever AI that we created, it has always been existing, some of these things even. So it's just that now there's more buzz around generative AI and many people now knows about it, right? But it's always been there, right? We've always been using Siri for people who use Apple phones. Some people have been using Alexa and some other tools already. There are examples we can point to. When we think about AI already in the past, right? But then, OpenAI, with the introduction of ChatGPT, kind of revolutionizes how we kind of uses AI, as a tool on its own. And it's the reason why I said that we need to think about the value system so who is creating the technology as well? For what reason are they creating it for? Are they creating it for that purpose, for the advancement of good and good cause? Obviously, with the purview of that, they would make profits, which is okay if people are making profits. I'm not saying people should not make profits, obviously, but are they are you making profits at the expense of people's data, for example, right? So it's very important that there's that value-based led creation to AI, to advance knowledge, to to enhance performance, or to optimize performance of human beings. Again, bad people will create bad AI. That's one thing that I know of. As how bad people use the internet the way they like on social media, right? We have social media, we had bad people also on social media, right?
Yes,
Then
yes.
we would have bad people using AI as well. So whatever kind of AI we create or whatever solution we create would have bad people using it as well. So there's nothing and the same way you would have good people as well who would use it for good as well, right? So it's very important for us to address some things in the society that are already affecting us, like value system, critical thinking, being reflective, being self-aware. Some of those skills that we think are not important, but they are essential skills, human skills, are going to be valuable for the advancement of AI or for the use of AI. So we need to first fix that as well. And when you look at even philosophy on its own, right? Philosophy has a branch. It's a branch of philosophy is called axiology, and it's got an ethics, right? It's gotten ethics and it's gotten aesthetics, right? And aesthetics is the beauty of something, right? The beauty of AI, it's good. People can use it to create really great solution, and that's the beauty of a particular product you're creating or whatever you're building, the beauty, the creativity there. But then that's why aesthetics is not alone as a branch of axiology. That's why you have ethics as well on the other side, in a way that isn't morally right. Are you creating something that, that advances the good of the world and good of the people? Or you're creating something or you're using something that would destroy people. So the same way, good people who appreciate creativity and beauty will use something for the advancement of good. Is the same way people who are bad as well will take advantage as well and use it for whatever they want to use it for. And that's why somebody would carry somebody who is not there, put their image on somebody else, and do as if they were kissing, and people would think it's real.
That's true.
This is the reason why I said we have to train people on self-awareness to be able to check that actually this look like AI generated. And people can actually checkmate AI tool with another AI tool. So it's not going to run away. It's not going anywhere.
It has come to stay. That's what it is.
And it's the reason why we have to elevate, the human capabilities and human potential, that as much as there are AI skills, human skills are also very, very important. Critical thinking, creativity skills, all of those other skills are also very, 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 very important. It's not about knowledge. right? There's a branch of philosophy that deals with knowledge as well, which is epistemology. How do you know what you know? How, like, how do you know a knowledge is true or not? Right? Your knowledge, right? And we can't separate philosophy, for example, from AI. We can't separate those things, you can't. So there's a
Why can't we separate philosophy from, from
because
it?
philosophy is value led.
Okay.
The moment you remove value from something, people do whatever they like. That's why you can't separate it.
Okay. They go overboard.
Yeah.
Understandable.
So that's why you want to know it's a particular knowledge, true or not, from what source, who is creating it.
Has
Because
it come out?
whatever you take in from anywhere, from any source, it becomes part of you or your being as well. So it's a connection. There's a connection there. And one of the things that I've been grappling with recently is, how to make sure that, there are solutions that are being created using the value-based lens.
Okay.
If we are creating like generative AI solution, or we even with using it, because you could see people go to AI, generative AI and say that, tell me how I can kill myself in 1 minute, or tell me how I can kill somebody in 1 minute as well. And it's going to give them the responses too.
Yeah. It's a prompt, so it just
Yeah,
prompts inside. It gives you what you're looking for.
exactly. So that's why we need to think all of this as well in between creation. That's why I said ethics is very important.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
moral aspect of what we're doing. And
One last question, Mr. Kayode. What's your advice for young people using AI today in the society? What's your honest advice? Because
I,
you're dealing with young people, education, you're teaching them how to use AI. So what's your advice to these people that you are teaching how to, prompt this AI tools?
so I think the advice is to embrace it. I think that's the first thing first.
Okay.
Is to embrace it, is to love it. I used to use an analogy that is when you love AI, that it loves you back. And what I meant by when you love AI, that it loves you back, is that the kind of quality of prompt you provide it's kind of like what you get out, and you'll be amazed by the capacity or capability of what you can do by the quality of your prompts. And by just engaging with it, by just like being curious, being open to learn. So, and it's the reason why I say that the kind of individual we are producing, the kind of people we are producing, will determine how they use AI. So again, if you have students or a workforce that is curious, they will use AI as well. With they would approach AI with curiosity. With the idea that I want to learn, I want to like see something. Like there are days that we just play around with GPT, and there was even a time I was playing around with GPT, and before I've created a chatbot using learnboost.io, and I got all my prompting and everything from GPT.
So my question is, you didn't use your head to prompt it, or you
I
got
used
the
to
prompt?
like I went ahead, I'm like, oh, I want to create, this is a model that I've built and I've created in my head theoretically. Can you actually build this? Can you actually like use this model I built to create this for me? And then I saw everything. I was like, okay, cool. Okay, good. Thank you for giving me this, what you've given me like this. I like it. But I don't think it does answer what I'm looking for yet. So
Okay.
you suggest to me 5 different platforms that can build this without code. And then gave me like different platform. I'm like, and the options. I'm like, could you give me the one that is very easy to use out of all of this platform, that you think somebody like me who doesn't know how to code at all will be able to use quickly to build a prototype? And then he gave me the selection. So I wasn't deciding to read and do the selection, right?
In all of this, I know AI is nice, is good, and these tools are tools that have different statements. They have same language. They tend to have like plagiarism in them. You understand what I mean? So, for example, you have a spreadsheet and you want to use a pivot table. can you tell AI, do you think when you prompt it to say, oh, AI, use a pivot table to give me so data out of this spreadsheet. I want this answer.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure AI will be able to give you the correct answer using that data?
I think there's a possibility that I can do that.
Because sometimes, okay, for example,
Yeah.
this year I had a program. It was like a World Health program from, I think it was from WHO. So I wrote the story using AI. I prompted it.
Yeah.
But the theme of the year was wrong. And thank God I had to check that because that was wrong, totally wrong.
Yeah.
I checked from WHO, they had something else, and AI gave me something else. I'm like, oh my God, no, I shouldn't use this any longer. So I had to opt out.
So
So I don't know the mistake I made at that point. I really don't know.
So is the reason why you shouldn't take everything as a face value as well. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, people would like to copy directly, would copy directly, but I would cross-check everything that I'm reading. Like if I see that I've even asked AI to edit something that I've written and it's not okay to my
So would
standard,
you say AI is not always on the correct side?
sometimes it might because it depends on the information that is on the internet.
Okay.
The data that it's available, which
Mm-hmm.
is also fed by, which is also fed rather by human beings who have written some of those things. And when you look at human beings, we are also likely to make errors. So, and there's the reason why we need to constantly fact check as well. We need to be great people who can fact check, who can quickly read, who can quickly scan through things. So these are the skills I'm saying people should build, like scan through things, read, be critical, look at things and be like, okay, is it true that this thing is actually correct? Let me go fact check and check if it's true. But then the fact that it reduces the time you're reading line by line to edit, that's something. You can use that thing to do something else, spend time with your family, like it's more or less like I'm seeing like as a machine rather to enhance the quality of life that we live. Like, oh, the time you're spending to read a manuscript and all of those things, it does the editing for you. It does the first editing for you, then you send it to an editor who then reads again, something like that. Like, it's not going to take away human capabilities. That's what I'm saying. Like, human beings are not going to be totally displaced.
Okay.
Maybe, but it's going to enhance the way we do our work, right? And what people need to do now is like, how do you use it correctly? How do you upskill yourself to actually use it correctly in such a way that it advances you as an individual,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's what I'm saying with, what I'm building or what I'm like, oh, you've gone to a meeting, right? AI has given you a note already. You copy that note, put it on GPT, and he said, from this note, based on the conversation you've seen, could you give me 3 outcomes? These are outcomes you would have read manually normally, but now you have 3 outcomes because AI have summarized that for you, right? So it's like there are ways, and then you spend more time, on other work that are important. So it's like it's rethinking, how we work and how we can use it to advance our own good,
Yeah.
and the good of the society, and how it increases or improves our own quality of life so that we can do any other things. Like, for example, if a teacher is using AI to create a lesson plan, using it for assessments, marking scripts, and all of those things, and using that to get it out for a student who is struggling and being able to spend time with our students really well instead of struggling to mark manually. But now they can spend time with that student who is struggling and provide personalized support for them. So it frees up that time to do what you love as a teacher and to advance the purpose of education in the classroom, which sometimes is blocked by the monotonous work that people do through marking. So you can't take away value from AI and reflection from AI. Its reflection is how it's being used.
Yeah.
That's why we need to rethink, every single thing around generative AI or whatever kind of AI is going to be created in the future, is being able to rethink that it's not going to go anywhere. And we should applaud people who are coming up with a solution because it takes a lot of creativity to actually come up with that. Are people creating it as well? Obviously, I don't know why, but I would assume that they want to advance the good for the people and for the society.
All right, Mr. Kayode, thank you so much. Thank you so very much for this interview. I really do appreciate. Thank you. So we have come to the end of our interview today. And all thanks to Mr. Kayode for making us understand that even if you are using AI, you need to think critically. It's
Yeah.
very important to think critically, to prompt your AI, your ChatGPT, with curiosity. He said that. So thank you, thank you, thank you once again. All right. Bye bye.